Hello, and welcome to my presentation. I am Delexia Hubbard, presenting for English Mythology. The myth I am presenting is called The Legend of the Ghost Sisters of Hilo Hills. So, let's begin by getting a little background on this myth. The myth of the Ghost Sisters of Hilo Hills is a Hawaiian myth. This story is generational and is rich with cultural and moral significance. This myth centers around two daughters whose mother is the goddess Hina. Hina is the mother of Maui, which many of you may know from your own experiences, and it's also the popular god many people know from the Disney movie Moana. I would also like to note that the myths surrounding the demigod Maui are worth checking out as well. So, the goddess Hina had two daughters, Hina Kihi, who was mistress of fire, and Hina Kulua, who was mistress of rain. Hina gave her daughters mountains as a gift, Halai for Kihi and Puhanu for Kulua. This area consists of very rich and fertile hills, and their people settled on these lands and prospered for a very long time. The text states that Kihi was a generous and loving goddess. Her people cherished her and simply adored her. She provided them with warm fires, and the lushness of the mountain in which they resided gave them plenty of food and nourishment for their families. The goddess Kalua, however, was not happy with her status as goddess. Kalua was very jealous of the way Kihi's people treated her. Kalua did not receive all of the praise and worship as her sister did. At this point in the myth, it should be noted that Kalua did not have anything lacking as far as her powers or the gift of the mountain that was given to her. Kalua was goddess of the rain, and she used her power to bring down clouds on her people and even went as far as to put out the fires that were made by her sister. It's interesting to know that both sisters had very powerful gifts, but one was still not satisfied. I believe that this is the beginning of a cultural and moral challenge. To be given so much and not to be satisfied often comes with a turning point that brings about some sort of reflection about what is important and how thankful one should be in their lives. Also, the motif of sibling rivalry appears here as well, as we've seen in many of the myths we've read over the course of the semester. Let's continue on. In this myth, there comes a point in which the rains lessen and the soil begins to dry up. Both communities begin to suffer as fruits wither and crops die. One of the most important crops is that of the taro. The taro is used to make poi, which is a very popular Polynesian dish. This crop is deeply rooted in Hawaii's cultural history. The people of the mountains begin to worry about what to do and how they will survive. The fire goddess Kihi decides to take action and requests that her people bring back firewood and construct an imu, which is pictured here. The imu, per Kihi's instruction, should be large enough for a human sacrifice. Her people were extremely concerned because who would be the one sacrificed for the greater good to help their people? They continued on with the construction. So when Kihi saw their obedience and diligence in doing what she asked, she felt for them. She did not wish for any of her people to be sacrificed. So she decided to enter the Imu and sacrifice herself. She gave her people instructions to wait for 3 days for a woman to appear to help them further. They did as they were told. Over the course of 3 days, water filled empty streams and nourished the soil. The woman appeared on the 3rd day and instructed them to remove the stones from the Imu. Kihi's people found enough food in the Imu to last them until the crops grew again. Kihi was gone, but her sacrifice saved her people and the land. Jealous Kalua saw this and figured that she would receive more praise if she did the same. She commanded her people to do as Kihi's people did, and they listened. Unfortunately, Kalua was a rain goddess and could not withstand the heat from the Imu and immediately perished. Her people waited the 3 days for a woman to appear, and when she did not, they opened it after 5 days and found Kalua burnt to ash. Her people soon perished. After reading this myth, there were many questions and perspectives that I took away from it, and I'd like to share some of my views and assertions on them. One of the interesting aspects of this myth is Kihi's sacrifice. In sacrificing herself, she was able to save her people from starvation, and honestly, not only starvation, but their way of life and security for the future. To this day, Hilo Hills is a very beautiful and prosperous region in Hawaii, full of waterfalls and lush vegetation. So, it can be said that the bravery and selflessness in Kihi's act of sacrifice not only strengthened the admiration and devotion from her people, but rewarded the region with sustainability to this day. Social and moral values are signified here as well, because of the notion that giving up something in one's life will solidify a pure and commendable reputation, as well as satisfaction and charity to those who need it the most. At this point, I'd like to discuss my insight into possible teachings within the story of the Sisters of Hilo Hills. When considering the possible lesson or warning behind this myth, the concept of jealousy is apparent. Equally, the Hawaiian culture not only expresses caution behind envy, not only in the familial sense, but spitefulness and greed are synonymous with the myths of Pele, the volcano goddess, in which we are all familiar with from our readings not long ago. This particular concept ties in with Pele's myths because of the nature of jealousy itself and the fact that each goddess did not receive what they wished for or set out to have in the end. This is seen in Pele's act of turning the object of her affection into an ohia tree. This act of vengefulness did not reward the goddess Pele with what she wanted, but set in motion for Lehua to be bound lovingly to ohia. The idea that Pele nor Kalua received the things that they wanted resonates culturally. It can be interpreted that from a moral standpoint, that the Hawaiian culture views jealousy as a self-punishing consequence in the sense that there is no prize in acting in one's own self-desires that places harm on another. Obedience also plays a factor in this myth, not only in a religious sense, but a cultural one as well. The people of both regions followed carefully the instructions given by their goddesses, and some reaped the benefit while others did not. It was only natural for me to ask, why did the people of Kalua perish when they did what she asked and not Kihi's? Putting aside each goddess's powers, which was the clear reason for no food appearing in the Imu for Kalua's people, there's more to be understood here. It can be said that Kihi's people of Halai prospered because of her nature. She was a goddess to be praised because of her deeds and treatment of her people. In Kalua's case, her actions were not that of a goddess, and in following her, they suffered along with her. So, do these diverse character types of goddesses signify that there are people who should not be followed? Or is obedience proper because it's the moral thing to do? There's a lot of questions here to be answered. I would like to conclude my presentation by first thanking you for watching. This was an interesting myth to read, and I have included links that go directly to a site so that if you want to read it on your own, you can. There are also many other great Hawaiian myths there, as well as the ones on Maui and their mother Hina. The Legends of the Wailuku is the collection of them all. It's important for me to also note that I do not own any of the images pictured in this presentation, and all images, music, and references have been cited by the respective creators. And once again, thank you for watching.